saw Bryce Young get benched. We've seen teams just mishandle quarterbacking over the course of NFL history, and we're seeing it in Carolina, and I think, and we're going to see it more likely in Chicago. So, do a little research. I'm gonna give you some names here. I'm sure you'll be familiar with them. Joe Montana, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Patrick Mahomes. You know what all those guys had in common? None of them played their first year. All of them sat at least 1 year. In some cases, Tom Brady sat 2 years behind Drew Bledsoe before he played after Bledsoe got hurt in the 2001 season. Okay. So you can't tell me that it hurts a quarterback to sit 1 year, at least. I'm looking at this Bryce Young situation. Everybody's ripping on Bryce Young. Bryce Young ain't this, he ain't that. You know, is he one of the worst quarterback busts and number one picks in recent memory? Blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is Bryce Young does not have a chance with this franchise. Carolina, in the last 5 years, you know how many offensive linemen they've taken in the last 5 years in the first 2 rounds of the draft? One. They've taken one offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds of the draft. They haven't taken an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds since 2019, before the pandemic. Okay. Bryce Young last year was sacked 62 times. Does not have a chance with that roster. Like I said, they are doing what Houston did with David Carr back in the day, what happened with Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. A guy just gets his brains beaten to a point to where he just can't play no more, mentally or physically, if not both. We saw it happen mentally for David Carr. We saw it happen physically for Andrew Young, who was well on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Andrew Luck would have been an all-time great without question, and I think a guy that would have won a Super Bowl or 2 possibly. He was that guy. He was that great. He was on his way to being that level of player. If you go look back at his win-loss record, go look back at where their franchise was at, and Indianapolis ruined him. They ruined him because he took a just insane amount of punishment, and his family took a lot of slack for this, but way back when in 2004. You had Archie Manning basically being, the puppet master for making sure that Eli ended up with the Giants instead of the Chargers. You know why Archie Manning did that? Because Archie Manning was once a all-time great quarterback in college, great college quarterback, and got the shit beat out of him when he got to the NFL. The shit kicked out of him. Was on some horrible teams. Go look at his win-loss record was horrible, but he was a 1978 NFC Player of the Year and a 2-time Pro Bowler. He could play. This is why he was not a bust. This guy could play. He was just in a horrible situation. So trust me, he had that entrenched in his mind and said, look, this was before San Diego was building a very talented roster that would be one of the more talented rosters for about a 2 or 3 year period from, let's say, 05 to 08. This was before that. This was before that. Archie was like, nah, you going to a franchise that has won a couple of Super Bowls, and guess what? Say what you want, it turned out to be a right move, but the Giants won 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning. Eli Manning, the 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So it actually turned out to be the right move in hindsight. But these quarterbacks, these franchises, seemingly they are actually worse at developing a quarterback than they are at drafting. I don't know which they might be worse at developing or handling a quarterback. Again, I don't like the fact that Jayden Daniels, as a Washington Commanders fan, is playing right now. Okay. One of the best things that happened to Bryce Young is for him to get benched. They actually are doing him a favor. Caleb Williams, again, he's going to get the shit kicked out of him. It's going to happen this year with that offense. It just is.